Good day, everyone. My name is Jijilyn from Sasn, Quezon City. So now, I am your student caregiver for today. Today, I will demonstrate to you the process of doing range of motion exercises on a client. Introduction. Exercises that are performed by patient himself or by a nurse in case of helpless patient to mobilize all joints through their full range. Range of motion. Exercises are those in which a joint is moved through its full range of motion according to its capacity. So we have two types of ROM, range of motion exercises, the active and the passive. The active, which is done by patient himself. The passive, which is done with help of assistance from another person. The purposes of range of motion exercises are to increase muscle strength and endurance. Second, to maintain normal psychological function. Third, to prevent complications caused by immobility like contractures. Fourth, to improve patient participation in activities of daily living. Five, to improve physical activities. And the last but not the least is to increase joint flexibility. So now, perform hand washing to prevent spread of microorganisms. Remove your jewelries to prevent transfer of microorganisms. Then, identify your patient to make sure that we are carrying out the procedure to the client. Provide privacy to allay fear and anxiety of the patient by closing the curtain and closing the door. Explain the procedure to the client, why it's necessary to perform to get their cooperation, but if the patient is unconscious, ask permission to their relatives to gain their participation. Explain the procedure, providing fosters cooperation. So, good day, ma'am. My name is Jijilyn. I'm your student caregiver for today. So, can I know your name, ma'am?
Jijilyn.
And when is your birthday?
August 26.
Okay, thank you. Range of motion. So, I will do range of motion exercises with you. Is that okay with you, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Range of motion exercises are those in which a joint is moved through its full range of motion according to its capacity. So, is that okay with you?
Yes.
First is the neck part of the body. Do a flexion. Position your head downwards looking at the toes. The next is the extension. Position your head looking straight ahead. Flexion, extension, hyperextension. Lateral position. Let's move forward to the shoulder part of the client. Do a flexion. Raise the arm forward overhead. And then extension, return the arm to the side of the body. Flexion, extension. flexion, extension. The vertical abduction. Vertical abduction is swinging the shoulder joints away from the body. Vertical abduction. And then vertical adduction is swinging the shoulder joints towards the body. Take note that there's also hyperextension in the shoulder part. It is extending the arm towards the back. Hyperextension. Abduction. Vertical adduction. Vertical abduction. Vertical adduction. Now there is also called internal rotation. It is moving the arm downward, and then the external rotation is moving the shoulder joints upward. Okay, so let's do the flexion. Flexion, extension, vertical abduction, vertical adduction. Internal rotation, external rotation. For the elbow, the movement can be conjoined with the shoulders do a flexion by grabbing the hand and the elbow, bend the arm, and then extension by straightening the arm. Flexion, extension. Flexion, extension. Now, to the wrist, do a flexion by grasping the palm with one hand and support the elbow with the other hand. Now, move the wrist forward and do the extension by move the wrist forward and do the extension by straightening the wrist. You can also do hyperextension by extending it to the back. Extend. Flexion, extension, hyperextension. Flexion, extension, hyperextension. Flexion, extension, hyperextension. Then the next one is the radial deviation. Is moving the wrist towards the thumb finger, while the ulnar deviation is moving the wrist towards the little finger. And the last movement in the wrist is the circumduction, by moving it in a circular motion. Now, remember, flexion, extension, hyperextension. Flexion, extension, hyperextension. Radial deviation, ulnar deviation. Circumduction. Let's move forward to the thumbs and fingers of the patient. Do a flexion by bending the fingers and thumbs into the palm. Flexion, extension. To its original position, then abduction, spreading the fingers away from each other, and adduction, bring it to close, moving in a circular motion. Abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction. The opposition, touching the end of the thumb in each finger, in turns. Opposition, opposition, opposition. Now remember, flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, circumduction, then opposition. Now, let's forward to the hip and knee of the patient. Remove the top linen of the patient and do a flexion. By holding the lower extremities in the hip, lifting the leg. Extension, flexion, extension. Returning it back to the original position. Now, abduction is moving the leg away from the center. Abduction and adduction is moving the leg towards the center. Abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction, abduction, adduction. The internal rotation and the external rotation is moving the lower extremities inward and outward. Inward and upward. Internal rotation, external rotation. Internal rotation, external rotation. And do the remember. Flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, internal rotation, outward rotation. For the ankle, do a dorsiflexion, make up in the heel of the client. Just the client and moves it upward. And then the plantar flexion, pushing the ankle downwards, pointing the toes. And the last movement is the circumduction, by twisting the ankle in a circular motion. Dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, circumduction. These movements helps maintain ankle flexibility to prevent foot drops. Foot drop. For the toes, do flexion and extension, bending the toes downward and upward. Flexion and extension. After doing the range of motion in the lower extremities, return the top linen to the patient. And that's all. Thank you.